Hi Taurus, welcome to your reading. So this is going to be the your upcoming geoscope for the new moon in Leo, which happens on the 19th of August. So as you probably noticed, I'm doing the videos in different orders just so that no one zodiac sign kind of gets preference. So I start with whatever the current sign of the lunar phase is, and then kind of work around that from the beginning and the end of the zodiac. But anyway, let's get into a reading. As you can see, I've had a piece of copper sitting on your cards. This is Venus energy, so I'm hoping to attract some positive Venusian energy into the readings because I think people have had quite a difficult time recently. Yeah, but it's fair to say that astrologically things are on the up. We've had a difficult couple of, I'd say about a month with those two full moons in Capricorn and Aquarius, but we are moving now into much calmer waters as we get past those Mercury oppositions and the Mars squares. And I think we're going to be heading into some nice cosmic weather, certainly. Also, thank you for your likes, shares, and subscribes. The channel is growing slowly, and we've had quite a lot of new subscribers this month, so welcome back if this is your not a new reading or a new format for you. And if you'd like to learn more about geomancy, just check out the link in the description box below. There's a page on my website dedicated to geomancy where you can find out a bit more about how this is linked to astrology. I've also redesigned these cards because they are quite difficult to read on the screen. They're currently with the printer, so I'm just waiting for them to be shipped, and hopefully by the time we get to the next full moon reading, I'll have new cards that are a little bit easier to see on the screen. Okay, I think that's nicely shuffled. Let's cut them and see what's going on. Okay, nice, Taurus. So you move into this this new waxy moon phase keen, really focused on happiness, cultivating happiness, joy, that love of life, basically. This is Jupiter in Pisces, so it's in the previous sign, that water sign that Jupiter used to rule. Before the modern planets were discovered, each of the signs besides the luminaries used to rule two zodiac signs. So so this is about Jupiter in Pisces energy, and that's yeah, I mean, I think that's understandable after all the difficult energy that we've had. So yes, new beginnings in your fourth house, so home, family, and property, as well as anything to do with your ancestry, your lineage, things that you've inherited. So a new start here for you, which is great, perfect, and in keeping with a new moon, which is all about fresh starts. So that's lovely. Wow. Okay, so happiness in particular, I think, is for you, Taurus, I think is focused on other people. So you're keen to kind of bring happiness in when it comes to personal relationships. These are one-to-one relationships, so significant others, usually a committed romantic partner, but it can also be, you know, just special people, your people that you feel are like besties, or a very close business partner, for example. But I think because we're talking about happiness here, we're probably talking about a romantic partner. So I think you're trying to manifest something, a new kind of relationship, a happier kind of relationship into your life. Interesting. Okay, so as far as career and you know, kind of your goals are concerned, it looks as though you're moving away from something. You're kind of feeling as though something is past its sell-by date. This is Venus in Taurus. It's a missio, and a missio is generally speaking about the transience of the physical or the 3D world. So this is feeling of, you know, something that you perhaps thought was going to make you happy, or that was going to bring, you know, maybe you were focused on security above all else, and now you're kind of realizing that that's not really very fulfilling, and you're kind of going for something that is a lot more, that makes your heart sing, basically, and that's why you are so focused on happiness. So interesting cards. Let's see what else comes out in the conversions, and then we'll carry on with the second part of your reading. Welcome back, Taurus. As you can see, I've done all the conversions, so let's dive deeper into your reading, starting, of course, with the new moon itself. So basically, what we're talking about is the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury will all be in Leo at the time of this new moon, because Mercury is going to be conjunct the Sun and the Moon. So for you, that falls in your fourth house. And as we said, fourth house is all about home, family, ancestral lineage, and property. Usually though, it's the family home. It's normally the kind of the main dwelling, as it were. Sorry, we've got some shouty seagulls around at the moment. So anyway, so this means fresh starts. A new moon is usually about fresh starts. And of course, interestingly, we've got Caput Draconis here in your fourth house, which is all about fresh starts. So I kind of feel as though that issue again about possibly moving or relocating is maybe rearing its head for you again as we get into this waxing moon phase. Now, it doesn't necessarily, mean that you are moving. It could just be that you are deciding to give your home a makeover, or it could be something to do with family. So it could be the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. So, for example, there could be a birth in the family or a pregnancy, a new member of the family entry, and therefore new potential soul contracts starting up. And that could be why you also focus on happiness when it comes to other people, particularly relationships. These could also be significant family relationships. So the Sun and the Moon and Mercury at the time of this particular new moon are going to be making a couple of important aspects to other planets. So the first one is a trine to Mars. Now, of course, Mars has been relatively problematic. It's been squaring Jupiter and Pluto, and it's in Aries, which is quite feisty, shall we say. It can produce conflict, but Mars is now moving into a much calmer phase. So it's interesting that you've got Mars quite prominent in the outcome of your reading. Mars is moving into a more kind of settled phase now. And for you, that's in your 12th house. So I think it's unsurprising that we've got Tristia here in your 12th house, which is Saturn in Aquarius. So this is generally about sadness, about feeling dejected, or something hasn't worked out. There's a sense of disappointment or kind of failure on some level. And I think that's probably a reflection of these difficult Mars transits that we've had in the weeks leading up to this particular new moon. But now things are going to shift. This is the trine aspect that's happening between Mars in Aries and the Sun and Moon in Leo. So I think that things are about to shift in a positive direction, and I think that's going to be reflected in the way that you think your outlook. Because for me, one of the main themes of this reading is about a change of direction. We've got a couple of instances of Via in your reading, which is the moon in Cancer. And although this can be travel, and you do have it in your third and your ninth houses, which are the houses of kind of short trips or your local neighborhood on one hand, and then foreign trips or people that live at a distance from you on the other, I do think it could also be about direction changes. And it's possible that, given that these are also the houses that have to do with perception and beliefs, your outlook and your beliefs, it could be that you're undergoing some kind of metamorphosis on a spiritual level as a result of the recent Mars transits. Maybe they've brought certain things to your attention, certain limiting beliefs, or you've kind of realized that you need to grow on that level. So these are positive changes, though, because, as I say, this is a trine aspect between Mars and the Sun and the Moon. Now, of course, these beliefs may have been inherited from your family, and that may be why we've got this emphasis on your fourth house. So it could be things that you picked up in childhood from your parents or from people around you, your relatives, and now you're choosing to let those go. And as you do, I think things are going to shift very, very quickly for you. A lot of people are finding that at the moment, that as they let go of sometimes very ancient wounds or kind of energetic blocks, so other things start to really fall into place very, very quickly. It's like momentum is building. And I do feel like, this is a very, very positive new moon with tons of great energy. The Sabine symbol for this moon is it's actually a new dawn. So I really feel as though we're coming out of the underworld. It's been quite a tricky time, a lot of shadow work being done since that lunar eclipse in Capricorn back in July, and things weren't any easier with the full moon in Aquarius, particularly with all those oppositions between Mercury and the outer planets. So I kind of feel as though you're coming through what has been quite a stormy, tumultuous period internally, and things are about to shift in a very positive direction. So that's great. And then the other aspect that's happening with the full moon is a trine and a sextile to the nodes. Now, at the moment, those are in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius. So for you, that falls in your second and your eighth houses. And I kind of feel like, again, these are positive shifts, and it's almost like fate kind of coming in and perhaps rewarding you for work or lessons that you've learned in the past, because we've got Equisitio here. We've got Jupiter in Sagittarius, so the very sign that rules your eighth house. And Equisitio is all about gain. Very often it's gain from hard work in the past. So in many ways, you could see this as being the card of justice, or the card of the Six of Pentacles in the Tarot, where things are kind of balancing out now. You've put in the hard work, you've given a lot in the past, maybe it wasn't reciprocated at the time, but the universe is now going to reward you for all your efforts. So that's fabulous, and it looks as though this is kind of like rewards, I would say, for things that you worked out from past lives, because this is the South Node. This is where the South Node is in Sagittarius. So I kind of feel as though these are karmic rewards that you've accrued over many, many lifetimes. And it has to do with sex, death, taxes, inheritances. So it could be that you're coming into a legacy. There may be a great divorce settlement. Maybe you are getting a loan from the bank, or a grant is kind of coming in. Maybe you've applied for something and finally it's coming good, or a lump sum payment of some kind. But it could also be something to do with a joint venture, because we've got this lovely Letitia energy here, which is also Jupiter in the seventh house. So possibly some kind of one-to-one collaboration that's going to take things in a new direction for you in terms of your career. Because I really do feel as though you are changing direction when it comes to career. There's a sense that, something needs to go because it's not being terribly fulfilling. And look, we've got Albus in your sixth house, which is the house of work and colleagues. And very often for me, this is about a fresh start. This is a blank sheet of paper. It's white. That's what it means in Latin. And it is Mercury in Gemini energy. So it could be about negotiations, about a new job, possibly, a new contract, or something of that ilk. And also, if we look at your second house, which is where the North Node is, we've got Venus in Libra. So this is sort of harmony, cooperation, compromise. It can also be about artistic or creative endeavors. And given that it is in your second house of income, I do feel as though you are moving out of perhaps a kind of a 9-to-5 job that you've maybe just done for the sake of security, which is very Taurian. And you're now moving into an energy of perhaps taking more of a risk, wanting to do something that is closer to your heart, something more creative, something that brings you a sense of happiness and inner balance. So I think that's absolutely fabulous. And it's quite interesting that Uranus has been moving slowly through this. It's been moving through your first house, actually, making gradual changes. And yes, come to think of it, that's what made me think about Uranus. So Venus, at the time of this new moon, is going to be making a sextile to Uranus. So Uranus is sitting in your first house. As I said, it's been encouraging you to make changes over the last few years, since about May in 2018. Take more risks, to kind of come into alignment with your sort of authenticity, which very often does change your soul purpose. Now, I know that that's not always allied with your career, but sometimes it is. So at the time of this new moon, then, we've got this wonderful energy between Venus and Cancer, which for you is third house, and Uranus in Taurus here in your first house. So this is about positive changes on the whole, from a kind of an astrological point of view. And as we can see, we've got change here, a change of direction, movement, momentum, and then we've got this wonderful Laitisha energy here in your first house. So I really feel as though whatever changes you do decide to make now are going to be definitely in your best interest. It's definitely about moving towards your happiness, literally, if we take the two geometric figures, movement towards happiness. So I feel as though any changes that you make now in terms of your outlook, your sort of your conscious beliefs, the way that your mind works, I think perhaps your attitude, particularly towards career and earned income, I think is going to shift things in a very, very positive direction for you. So reiterating this 3rd and 9th house stuff we talked about earlier. And then if we look at career, if we look at creativity, the house of creativity here, we've got Rubeus. So again, Mars, but this time Mars in Scorpio. So this is your counterpart energy in terms of the zodiac. And here I think it's pointing to a passion project. So I think it's really about, allowing yourself to give your passions, your creative passions, more leeway to sort of lean into those and start to sort of express yourself creatively. And I think that that's going to take you in a very, very positive direction. It might not be, it might be encouraged by your friends or by people on social media, but on the other hand, sometimes this energy can be about a bit of drama. So, potentially you might find a little bit of resistance from certain people, but I think on the whole, given the outcome of your reading, you're looking at a really positive shift for the better. But anyway, as I was saying, I kind of feel as though the overall summary message of your reading is that you are making a fresh start at this new moon, which means that you are going to be taking the steps to leave certain things behind, to make a kind of a shift of direction, to let go of what isn't working or what needs to go, in order to bring in a brand new phase that is going to be very, very auspicious for you, very, very fortunate. This is the sun in Leo after all, and we are still in Leo season, and this moon happens in the sign of Leo when the sun and the moon and Mercury will be sitting in the sign of Leo. So this is about good luck, it's about chance, it's about power and effortless success. So I kind of feel as though once you make this decision, even though you might kind of think, oh, this kind of goes against the grain a little bit when it comes to those 3D ideas about security, I kind of think that once you do, you're going to sort of enter into the flow of grace, and things are going to be quite effortless as far as success is concerned. I think you're also going to feel a kind of an inner victory kind of happening as you shift out of this difficult Tristia energy and into this wonderful Laitisha energy. For those of you who are single, those single Taurians, I should say that this could also bring you into alignment with a partner if you're not already in a relationship. So this could be a passionate new connection coming in for you, and here Puer can sometimes be about that night energy, the person kind of pursuing you or making an offer. Because we do have Puella and Acquisitio here, so I do feel as though this has something to do with an improvement in your sense of self-worth, deciding to be happy, and sort of being open to working with other people, because the 8th house can also be about trust and about generosity when it comes to intimacy. And we do have ultimately this Laitisha here in your 7th house. So what can start out as a passionate new connection does seem to have the potential to go the distance as far as long-term happiness is concerned. So all in all, a really great reading, Taurus. Wonderful. I'm very happy for you. Do let me know how this the next 2 weeks of this waxing moon cycle pan out for you in the comments. If this reading has resonated, please, I'd appreciate if you hit the like button. And if it hasn't resonated with you, do check out your rising and your moon signs, because sometimes you'll find that those are, more accurate and they resonate with you. This reading can't resonate for every single Taurus out there. But once again, thank you so much for all your support. All the best for the next couple of weeks, and I'll catch you in a fortnight for my full moon reading.